Jabbering Jawas podcast with your hosts Joey Clark and
Will, with the real Stafford.
Will the Thrill Stafford, everyone. Now, if you are a Padawan under the age of 18, some content may not be suitable for you. Warning that we will, and most likely, use profane language, and that means curse words like... And we do have 2 more seasons of The Mandalorian confirmed.
Mandalorian, we can kind of let's just talk about all the series all at once, because there's a ton that are probably going to come. There's like The Mandalorian, the Cassian Andor series. You probably want to set aside some time for the Obi-Wan series, so we'll kind of say that for the... And then there's the female-centric series, which I think probably has to do with... my guess is Sabine, maybe Ahsoka, but Ahsoka has her own series, so I don't know. But yeah, there's a lot of series coming, and I'm glad that Mandalorian's going to have another 2 seasons, because it's been really good so far. But yeah, what do you think about all those as a whole, just like kind of that lineup?
Well, Mandalorian, I definitely think needs a few seasons for it to be fleshed out, because first season, like with any season, you're world building and kind of laying your foundation. And I think watching it over again within the past couple weeks, I think the foundation is there and it's strong. The only thing is I don't know where it's going to go. And the one thing that I keep trying to figure out is, okay, there's these characters. Where are they going to end up at the very end of this series? And I really hope that they get to finish it the way that they want to.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes me wonder who crosses paths with them during all that time.
Where and when.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Luke is around. Leia is around. Lando. Han Solo, like, all those people are around. The Baby Yoda is, like, slowly getting older. But, like we said last week, who knows how Yoda's, like, race ages? So is it going to be, like, a toddler for another 50 years? I don't know. Yeah, that's tough to say. But, yeah, definitely a lot of questions with the series, and then they talked about Boba Fett coming back, and then having Ahsoka in the next season, and it's like... So, obviously, we have to take into account everybody who's been on Clone Wars, who's still alive, everybody who's been on Rebels who's still alive, and people from the original trilogies who are still alive. And it's like, who's he going to meet up with, especially now that he has a Force-sensitive child. So,
Yeah, the one thing that I'm just looking at it right now that I'm kind of wondering is because they say reportedly Rosario Dawson has not just one appearance contract, but it's like multiple appearances, which can be possibly another series, like the Ahsoka series is reportedly in development.
mm-hmm.
And here's the thing that a lot of people don't know and don't realize. Because something is in development doesn't mean that it's greenlit. It just means they're working on it. They're probably working on a bunch of different things right now to get it off the ground. But then I guess another report said that it's in production. When it's in production, that means it's been greenlit. That means they're getting all the scripts, the writers, the actors, the cast together. Well, when in production, that means they're actually filming and doing everything. Pre-production means that they're getting everything together to do production. So I'm kind of curious what is actually happening with that. And I know that they always say, unless Lucasfilm or Disney says anything, just take it with a grain of salt.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that character has gotten such a big following. And if you introduce her in The Mandalorian and she kicks ass, people are going to want to know more. They're going to go back, watch Clone Wars and Rebels, and they'll be like, okay, we need some more.
Yeah, you know what I will say about The Mandalorian is that, like I said, people like my girlfriend and my mom, they've watched like The Mandalorian, you know, at least some of it or all of it. But a lot of people haven't watched Clone Wars or Rebels because it's animated. Like, people just won't watch them, which is disappointing because like characters like Ahsoka are so good, but people aren't they aren't gonna watch Clone Wars. So I will say I'm happy that they're putting her in there, and I hope that she does like kick ass because it's like such an incredible character, and it's like it's sad that people won't watch like animated series. So she's honestly one of the like best Star Wars characters, but there's like so many people that don't even know because like I only watch like the live action stuff. But I mean, I understand that some people don't like animation, but it's fine. Like I get that.
Yeah, like when it first came out, I was already in. I think I was like in middle school, and I was like, that doesn't look like Star Wars. I like shrugged it off. But when I was in college, you know, I started hearing people talking about how good it was, so I went back and binged the series, and I fell in love with that character. So I only want to see good things for her.
Yeah.
And I know Dave Filoni does too. And I know Rosario Dawson, like, it's been hinted at, I think, for like the past 2 years, like, oh, you know, it'd be great to play her as Rosario Dawson. And like when Variety asked her, she said, that's not confirmed yet. When that happens, I will be very happy. And then she added, I'm very excited for that to be confirmed at some point, and it would be 1,001% because of the fans. It's like, so it's happening, I guess.
I mean, but she can't say like contractually, she can't say.
Yeah, but I mean that's like borderline just saying it, or it is pretty much saying like it's not confirmed, but it will be.
I mean that's kind of a Disney thing. They're such a big company that like I almost think it's a marketing strategy for them now because you know they always in Marvel they have I forget the kid's name, Spider-Man. It's like it's like his thing now. He like leaks stuff or whatever, but it's like it's marketing. And they probably just want to gauge like what people's reaction are. Like, oh, are people gonna love it if she talks about this? Like, you know, but
I figure it's probably something like that too. The only thing that's a little upsetting, it's like I want to be surprised. Like I don't want to know that she's in it as Ahsoka. I want to know that. I want to put it out like the whole thing with the child or Baby Yoda or whatever. No one in Disney fucking knew about it. That's why there was no merchandise for it.
Yeah.
And way after the fact, because they were able to keep the mouse out of the Star Wars house. They were like, no one can know about this. And I'm so glad that Jon Favreau had that foresight because he even said, I didn't want a toy leaking out or something because he knows.
Yeah, I was genuinely surprised. After that first episode, I was genuinely surprised. I was like, wait, what? There's another one? I was like, huh? Okay. It's definitely hard to be surprised nowadays because of I don't know, people are just so good at finding leaks or data mining or somebody's always leaking something. It's almost impossible. Like you get rumors as soon as something starts production. There's already people like, here's a photo from the set. Somebody in this costume. And it's all over Twitter and Facebook or whatever. It's hard.
So I mean, I hope that we do get to see her. I mean, I'm a little saddened by the fact that Ashley Eckstein said, I have no idea about a live action Ahsoka. I haven't been told anything. I can confirm that I am not a part of it as of now. And it's disheartening and sad because it's like, I love Ashley Eckstein. I just interviewed her a few weeks ago, and and I've met her a few times. She's one of the nicest, down-to-earth people in the Star Wars universe, at least like an actor or actress. And I don't know, it's a little jarring to think that she won't play her. I wouldn't expect her to be the physical version, but even doing that Sam Witwer Ray Park thing where the voice is dubbed. But usually if you pay someone like Rosario Dawson to play a role, you're not going to just have her physically show up and not pay her to do her own thing with it.
Yeah, definitely different than Ray Park. She's definitely a big money actress, so I wouldn't see them doing that. I hope they do bring her in to like advise and everything. She's like, this is how I kind of think about this when I do this as Ahsoka, you know, just kind of things like that. I think that would be smart for them to do. It's like she's played Ahsoka for literally the entire existence of Ahsoka, so it's like it would be good to have her be like, when I think of Ahsoka, this is what I think about how she acts or like how she would react to this, you know. So I think that's something they should do. We'll see, but um, yeah. So you said you're a big fan of Cassian Andor, so how do you feel about his series and what they could possibly like potentially do in there? Because obviously we know how his story ends, but it's like where are they gonna go? Where are they gonna take it?
I'm very. I've always wanted to see a ragtag band of rebels, and it's gonna be a buddy comedy because K2SO is confirmed to be in it.
Played by
I
Alan
kind of
Tudyk.
wonder. Huh?
Still played by Alan Tudyk. Hmm.
Yeah, they brought them out on stage, and they're both gonna be in it.
Nice.
So I'm kind of curious if they're only. That's the one thing I'm wondering if it's just gonna be a one-off series thing or a short series. Like it, I want to see him capture and reprogram K because I feel like that'd be pretty cool. I just want to see ragtag rebels screwing shit up in order to fight the Empire. I think that's why I love Rogue One. It's like you got some of that grittiness, but I think you can push it more with the series.
Yeah, I think that was my one thing with Rogue One. It's a good movie throughout. I didn't personally think it was great until like the very end, and I was like, holy shit, that seems amazing. This is a great movie. But yeah, I definitely want more of that. Of just kind of like the characters, like we were talking about before. It's just we want to see more of what people who aren't like in the main series or like Sith or Jedi, what they have to go through all the time, every day. And then most of that movie was kind of dedicated to like, action, move to this set piece, action. There was like a few moments in between there, but I definitely want to see more about how does somebody get into the rebels? Like how did he meet Kate? Yeah, like how did he meet him? How did he make that robot into his friend? I mean, it's like because I don't know if you've ever played. I don't think do you play that many video games or like have you ever
A
played?
little.
Have you ever played the one that just came out, the Jedi Fallen Order?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, there's those things are like they're hella dangerous in that game. But you're able to
yeah.
reprogram them in that and like have them fight for you. So I could definitely see them putting together a really cool scene where like Cassian's like fighting against him, and he has to like he either like takes him out and like rebuilds him, or maybe he has a droid that like can reprogram it or something, or I don't know. It's just there's a lot of interesting possibilities, but I definitely want to see more about how did they get all these people into the rebels or even into the Empire or the First Order. Those are things I would like to see. So
No, I definitely agree on that one. Yeah, and then there's also the confirmed female-centric series. Here's the thing. I know it's a marketing ploy, but it's like female-centric series. Like, does this mean it's all? And obviously, it's probably not gonna be all females, but it's like. And then the person that they selected, there's also this underlying rumor with this person, Leslie Headland, because I think she was what's his face?
she created a Russian doll, which was a
No, but that it's what's the guy that I can't remember his name right
Harvey
now.
Weinstein. I think we talked about that last week. But yeah, well, Leslie Headland, yeah.
What the hell is his? No, what's his name?
Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, I can't believe it. Like, but the rumor is that Kathleen Kennedy basically brought her on and didn't go through Disney legal, and there's some tip and kind of thing between Disney and Lucasfilm now because she pulled that move. That's the rumor. I don't know if it's a confirmed thing.
Yeah.
Without properly vetting through Disney legal, but it's like someone that's defended Harvey Weinstein, and even after all the allegations and everything, and you're have her lead a project when you're trying to attempt to look woke. It's like you just shot yourself in the foot.
Yeah, that's
like
very.
But for someone to defend a monster like that, and then like a dump of all your tweets, and there's out there that shows that she dumped a bunch of her old tweets supporting the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't really. I haven't seen the Russian Doll, so I can't judge as far as the Korea thing. But I think it's just a PR type move. That's one of the worst things you could possibly do.
Yeah, I will say Russian Doll was a pretty decent show. Like, it had an interesting concept, and I won't deny that she's talented. Like, there's some cool things in that. But yeah, something like that, like, you can't. And it's not very Disney. Like, obviously, you said she like kind of didn't like didn't go like confirm that with them, like the heads of Disney and shit. So yeah, it's you can't have somebody like that who's like defending someone like that. And I mean, even if they make it, that's one of those things like we were talking about with Ryan Johnson. Except people actually have a reason now to not like see it. So I don't know whether they'll stick with that, but I don't know. We'll see. And you definitely and to call it like the irony to call it the female centric series with somebody who defends Harvey Weinstein. Like I just yeah.
It's her redemption story.
Oh man.
That's one of those iffy things, and it's like I get why you say female-centric series because you want to target it to a specific audience, but it's like, is this going to be the kind of series where it's like a Captain Marvel where I'm rolling my eyes? Or is it going to be like Wonder Woman where it's just a badass woman taking charge? Because here's the difference between like Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel. Wonder Woman, how like that phrasing or the saying of actions speak louder than words, that's Wonder Woman.
Show don't tell.
Yeah, and then Captain Marvel's just running her mouth and not really doing much of anything besides that. Especially the one line is like, I don't need to prove myself to you. It's like, you kind of need to for the audience to believe that you're this badass and cool, I guess.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman does that all day long. That's the one thing where it's like, I hope they don't go that route, and it's just...
Which is kind of funny. It's like, what, the one time that DC is kind of beating Marvel out on? Like, it's just kind of funny. Yeah. But yeah, do you think with that series that it will be characters we already know, or something completely different? I was thinking it could be maybe one of like the female Mandalorians or something, or I don't know.
How does Russian Doll treat like its female characters? Like anything where you like roll your eyes and you're like,
No. So like the whole premise of Russian Doll is kind of like a Groundhog Day sort of thing, sort of. Like the main character is, I don't know if you've seen Orange is the New Black, but she's from that, and something is going on. I don't know what, but it's making her relive the same day all the time, and she keeps trying to like do whatever she can to like get out of it. And no, she just lets the character be. Like, she is what she is. They don't really talk. Like, she has a boyfriend or something in it, but like any of that stuff isn't the defining factor of the character, you know. Like I said, the director is definitely talented, and when you watch it, you definitely focus more on the story and what's going on than any other things. But yeah, they treat the female characters just like they're the character. They're the main character. This is like her friend. This is her boyfriend or whatever. And yeah, it's never. And it never takes away from what the story is supposed to be about. So I'll definitely give them that. Like, the main focus is always, this is the story. This is what's happening, and anything else is kind of like a side thing.
Yeah, that's more the thing that was my worry. Not that she necessarily does that or that's her choice. It's anything Disney now, you have to kind of worry about it and bite your lip. I'm thankful the Mandalorian, I don't think, had anything like that in it. No. They just focused on the characters, which was cool. Because I love Cara Dune, like just badass rebel shock trooper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
and I love her backstory too, like that she's a shock trooper and everything, and it just makes sense because Gina Carano is just like, I mean, she looks like a badass.
what would you want the female centric to be? I mean, to answer your question, I'm kind of hoping it's not characters we know, just because if it's characters we know, most likely I would think it would probably be something from Rebels, and I'd rather have Dave Filoni do that
Mm-hmm.
than was executive
Yeah.
producing
Hmm.
it
Maybe
or
it's maybe it's that one bounty hunter they show for like 2 seconds in Phantom Menace when they're pod racing in Tatooine. Nah, when I think of like the most like badass female characters though in like just Star Wars in general, I mean it's usually, I mean there's obviously like the Jedi and everything, or like some of the Sith. Because I will say it's one thing we haven't really seen yet in like kind of like like any female Sith.
yeah.
Like there were always ones in Legends and stuff, so that'd be cool to see. Because there's the, I don't know if you remember from the old Legends, there's like Darth Talon, I believe it was. She was like a red Twi'lek, yeah, and she was fucking badass. And I'd like to see that. Female Mandalorians are always fucking awesome, like all of them. And then I usually like stuff about like Twi'leks in general. So I mean, they don't have to necessarily be Jedi, but I do like Twi'leks. I think they're just a cool like race in Star Wars to talk about. It's always usually the female ones I kind of like focus on more, rather than like the male.
I'm kind of wondering because I could see it going different ways. Because Russian Doll, since you said it's kind of like this kooky weird thing, one thing that I would like to learn more about, but I don't know if they would ever put a lot of stock into it, is the Night Sisters in Clone Wars. I feel like you could do a lot of crazy shit with them.
Damn, you know what? I totally forgot about that. You're absolutely right. The only thing is, when would it be set? Because technically, in the present time, aren't they like all dead? Like, are they like all gone?
But I'd be curious to see like more of their connection to the Force, and if they do play a role in the greater story, because we don't know how much influence they really have. We get why the Sith and the Jedi, their influence over the galaxy, but I'd be curious to see another Force entity
and how they use the Force differently.
Yeah, and like what their main objective and goal is for that.
And the Asajj Ventress was one as well, huh?
Yeah.
And I will say, and I don't know if we got to that part in the Fallen Order, but that's definitely my favorite planet in that video game. When you get to Dathomir, and I forget her name now, but the character there that you meet, because I just got there, but she's really cool too. So then, yeah, you're right. I would love to see that actually.
Yeah, but I don't. That's the thing where female-centric series is so broad.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, obviously, it's gonna. And here's the other thing that I'm a little iffy about, because Star Wars Celebration is an event that they usually make these big announcements and say like what's happening. I highly doubt Celebration will take place this year because they cancel so many conventions, and I was supposed to go.
They could do it online though, possibly, because they've been doing a lot of things that normally conventions. They're kind of releasing these online events, so I don't know. Maybe they will, but
I feel like they'll hold off till next year, because I feel like when you have that, because I feel like they'll have more of an impact if it's done in person. Plus, too, I think everything's being pushed back like a year or two anyway, because no one can really meet in person. Nothing can really be filmed.
Yeah.
I feel like they're gonna wait probably a while anyway. I don't think you would have the same impact if you're just streaming it. They're streaming channels or talking about it.
Yeah, if they do anything, that they probably wouldn't make a big thing out of it, because exactly what you said right there, they have to delay things. Like, it's not gonna come out anytime soon. So if they do announce anything, they probably just kind of like maybe release a video or some like interviews or something, like yeah, we're working on this, and we're gonna try to get back to work as soon as we can. That kind of thing.
Or if they even just drop the titles, I would be
I
that
mean,
would be cool.
that works for Marvel. I will say that when they have the whole like they do their little laying out their roadmap thing, where they're like, "Here's what we have planned for the next 4 years," and they just have like the title cards. So I could see them doing that.
I mean, I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And the last couple we got. Well, there's animated Prime, Ahsoka Tano series. I would guess if they did the Ahsoka Tano series, it's gotta be with Sabine and then them going to find Ezra, which means probably a live action Thrawn.
I mean, I would just be I'd be very interested to see who they cast for all of those people. I saw something very interesting. Somebody basically just I don't know if it was I don't think it was an official image whatsoever, but somebody basically did an aged up like Ezra, and he looked eerily a lot like Keanu Reeves. It was interesting. I don't think they would do that because I don't think he'd be that old yet in the series that they would do, but he looked a lot like Keanu Reeves in that though. But I'd love to see who they cast for like Sabine and everything. And
There's
then
some name floating around. I'm just trying to remember who it is, but I think even the person that does her voice, I feel like because Rebels is such a stretch as far as like the designs, because it's like Ralph McQuarrie-esque and his stuff was exaggerated in certain features. I feel like the person Tia Sakar that actually voices her, I think she would be perfect for it. The only thing is, would have to probably be aged with makeup or something. Would be my.
has she done the on-screen acting before? Because I know
Yeah,
they're usually a little iffy about that if they haven't. But yeah,
no, she's done quite a bit. The only thing is you'd have to age her, but I'm trying to remember. There's some name floating around that has reportedly been cast as her as well. And then, yeah, I would think because I don't know what Ahsoka would be doing on her own during.
Yeah.
That.
I
Would Ahsoka's series take place like after Return of the Jedi, or would it take place like leading up to when they meet Ezra and the Rebels crew?
Well, because when Rebels ended, it was going into the events of the original trilogy, right?
No, but there's also that epilogue where.
Oh yeah, and they were older.
Yeah. So I'm kind of curious. I feel like
it could be after.
I would think it would be after, and then there's also that thing with that kind of like we don't know what they mean by this quote or whatever, saying. Pull it up real quick. How they were saying that, if you love Clone Wars so much, show your love and support, and we might make more. That's Gianni.
Oh yeah.
From Lucasfilm Animation said, "Glad to see so much love for our work in Clone Wars again. Keep loving them, and we'll keep making more. And fear not, we at Lucasfilm Animation are still going strong even during COVID-19. And with animation, you can do that because you can have animators and people working and zooming in. It's not like you're working with a live-action cast. You can send people to go to a recording studio if you need be.
They can make recording studios in their own house.
That's the thing is like keep making more animated series or more Clone Wars, and it's been a discussion long discussed after he posted that, and he hasn't taken that tweet down, so I think it's one of those things where they know that they'll find it, so let's keep them asking for more.
I'd love to see them make more animated series for just kind of between stuff that we don't know, like we talked about last week, that just huge area between original trilogy and sequel trilogy, or even during the sequel trilogy. We need some blanks filled in. Then that might help, especially if you put Dave Filoni or somebody like that on it. I think that'll help. in between it, to kind of just fill some blanks. It's like, what's going on? How did all this happen? That led up to this. Yeah.
The one thing that I would love to see, and I think it would be possible if the story was good enough, is like you said, fill in the blanks between 6 and 7, but have it be the 7, 8, and 9 almost that we should have gotten. I think it would have been great if you would have um, Mark Hamill do the voice acting for Luke Skywalker, because he does voice acting. I don't see why he couldn't. And he's done Luke Skywalker voiceover recently for the Forces of Destiny little cartoon that they've done. I think if you give him a really good story and you give him the story that he would have wanted to see as Luke, you could get him on board to do it.
Well, you saw what they did with Clone Wars season 7, and how they just weave that right those last 4 episodes, they weave that right into Revenge of the Sith, and it's like it works so well, and so you can watch that with Revenge of the Sith, and like it's just a part of it. And to be honest, I can honestly see them filling a lot of blanks between Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker with stuff like that. It's like, hey, here's Palpatine before Force Awakens. Man, just something that I think that would help. But yeah, that's all I could think of. And then obviously they could go to before the prequels too. I don't think they're really focused on that as much. They're kind of doing that High Republic thing, and I don't think they want to do too much there. It seems like they're kind of focusing on after Return of the Jedi, leading up to like Force Awakens.
Well, from talking with friends at Lucasfilm, and the general consensus of what I've heard rumors of is that they're trying to forget 1 through 6 and just do their own thing and not really use a whole lot of things that were established, which I think is a poor decision, because you still have a lot of us that remember those things fondly, and you can cater to us. It's not to say don't be creative and create your own thing. Go for it. But do both. You can have both. And I think bridging that gap, especially between 6 and 7, if you can appease both sides, those that like the sequel trilogy and those that like the original stuff, seeing Luke Skywalker really in his prime is something, even if it's in an animated format.
Yeah.
I would love to see, especially because we always wanted to see Luke with that green saber do some badass shit.
I mean, they do it with Darth Vader all the time. Why not Luke? Like, we've seen Darth Vader in every single way we possibly could at this point. So it's like, why not Luke? Might as well. But yeah, it's funny that you say that they're kind of not focusing on that, but then also they are, because they keep trying to put stuff though from like the original like 6, like those first 6 movies. They keep trying to put stuff from those in, like they're putting Boba Fett in the Mandalorian. It's like they're trying to have their cake and eat it too, which I mean, they're Disney, so I guess they can do that. But I just thought that was interesting. And I mean, they're making the Obi-Wan series, so it's like they're trying to focus on new things, but then they're still like, well, I guess we kind of have to make this. So I don't know. It's interesting.
I think it's because they realized that their plan, which wasn't much of a plan, this failed. You can't have just new stuff and not appease this generation, because it's like, or our generation, it's like, that's what we grew up with, that's what we love and know. Not to say we won't love the new stuff, but the old stuff is awesome, and you can build off of the old stuff. And this Kenobi series, I am really worried about it, to be honest, because initially it was a film.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I didn't even know they were making it into a series.
And then after that, they changed it and diverted it into a series. It was supposed to be a 6-part series. And then I think a few months back they were like, well, we're gonna hold off because we want to rewrite it. But now instead of a 6-part series, it's gonna be a 4-part series, and we're getting new writers. To me, that's worrisome because I know I want it to be good and as good as possible, but to me, there seems like there's so many issues with it. I'm worried that eventually it's just not going to happen because there's been a lot of other projects that have fallen through the cracks and haven't wound up coming through fruition. And if this thing fails, you're going to have so many people pissed off because this is the one thing we've been asking for. Yeah. And even if you get it done and it sucks, there's going to be a lot of livid people, including yours truly, because Ewan McGregor and Obi-Wan is my favorite.
Yep. Yeah, that's interesting. So that they're kind of like, they keep changing things, and that's definitely always a worry with movies. I will say, maybe would you be more upset if they pushed it back more so they can make sure they get it right, or if they're like, we need to get this done, so we can release it on the talk of people waiting for this? Like, which would you rather?
I mean, obviously wait, but if the wait is worth it, that's the thing. If they push it out and it sucks, like, well, they pushed it too far. But if they wait and it still sucks, like, well, we waited for this shit. And the other thing too is they shortened it. So my thing is, the thing that I don't like about Disney Plus content, and that kind of bugs me a little bit about The Mandalorian, is like getting only 30 minutes to like 40 minutes, like for what's supposed to be an epic show. It's a bit disappointing. It should be like 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, that was definitely weird, because I'm like, Clone Wars, I understand, it was an animated series. It's like, it was originally made for kids. Like, kids aren't going to sit through like 30, 40-minute episodes. But yeah, for The Mandalorian, I thought that they were going to be, just because like the style of it and everything. And what they put in there is still good. It's just, I expected them to be a little longer.
So I mean, this Kenobi series is probably one of the most, anticipated things. What would you want to see from it?
So that's something interesting that I was talking about, since they've been talking about when it was a movie and now it's a series, obviously. I was curious when it would take place exactly. So I'm like, how much of Kenobi are we going to cover? Obviously, it'll be after, I'm assuming after like a Revenge of the Sith or something, when he kind of drops Luke off there to his aunt and uncle, and he decides, I'm gonna stay here on this on Tatooine, and I'm gonna watch over him. And then I think about that, and then to Rebels, when we see him and he fights Darth Maul. So I'm like, how much are we getting here? Are we gonna see like Ewan McGregor as he was in the prequels, to like him older? Or are we just going straight to like Ben Kenobi, like older on Tatooine, or doing whatever else in the universe that he needs to do? Because I mean, I'm assuming he stayed on Tatooine like quite a bit, but maybe he had to like leave for other reasons. Are we gonna see in live action like him fight Maul again, or are they just gonna kind of leave that in Rebels? Like, then that's what I was thinking. So I'm like, what exactly are we gonna get in terms of? I would love to see. I don't want to see him on Tatooine the whole time. I don't think they would do that anyway, but yeah, I would like to see him kind of like carrying out certain missions or something that kind of helps his goal of protecting Luke, because obviously that's his like one like main thing right now.
Yeah, I think they said it takes it takes place 8 years after Revenge of the Sith. I think that's when it's supposed to be set. So I think it I think it happens right before the Maul encounter, and I know a lot of people have been kind of speculating if he'll fight Darth Vader before the Death Star because of that whole phrase, like Obi-Wan once thought as you do, like thinking he could turn back.
Hmm.
And he addresses Anakin as Anakin still in Revenge of the Sith, so maybe they have another confrontation. Maybe he's like, I think I can still save him. Maybe he tries to find a way to engage him and pull him back, or that's kind of what I'm wondering. The thing that I'm kind of nervous and scared about is they went from a 6-part series to a 4-part, so I feel like it has
Yeah.
to be one story and it won't jump.
Yeah, I'm like when it originally was a movie and then like Rogue One came out, I did actually think, okay, he could possibly fight Vader, but now that it's a series, I'm not too sure. And then especially since it's shorter, I feel like they probably would end on like Maul or something. But then the other thing with that, which makes me feel like they might not do that either, is because of the whole setup at the end of Solo that they had, and maybe they want to do stuff with Maul before that. So that's my only thing. If I would have seen, if it would have been a longer series, I would have honestly say that they could have put him fighting both Maul and then meeting Darth Vader again, like maybe at the very end, and trying to turn him. But yeah, the 4 parts, I'm not too sure if they'd be able to do that, like all of that.
Those 4 parts better be a fucking hour long, because
Yeah.
at least 45 minutes. None of this 30-minute bullshit, because it's like, essentially they're breaking it into a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it would have been good if it was 30 minutes and it might have been like a 6-part series. I really hope they go back to that idea because I want to spend time and understand what his state of mind is. I really want to see him talk to Qui-Gon Jinn because it says that he was communicating with him, and the Yoda and Revenge of Sith training I have for you.
And Liam Neeson wants to come back. He said he would be willing to come back and play Qui-Gon.
Yeah, and I want them to reference. There's a rumor that Hayden Christensen will come back, and I'm guessing that might be for flashbacks. Like to see Obi-Wan. Like my envisioning of what would be a great version is if like you did the Logan version of Obi-Wan where he's feeling like shit, and then something keeps him going, which is probably protecting Luke, or maybe trying to bring Anakin back to the light.
Mm-hmm.
And I want him to go through that struggle and remember all of that shit. And I hope they touch on Satine a little bit more, because to have her referenced in a live action thing would be cool, because she is a major part of his journey. And him deal with everything that he went through during the Clone Wars.
No, that's funny you say that, because I was literally just thinking about Satine right now. I was like, yeah, I would love to hear them reference her, because it's obviously a big part of like Obi-Wan, and you know, because like Jedi aren't supposed to like love anybody, and it wasn't just Anakin, so it's like it can also show that like sure he also kind of was tempted by that and he loved somebody, but then he didn't follow the dark side like Anakin did, you know. Even after she was killed in front of him, like he didn't follow the dark side, you know. So I think it's an interesting contrast between him and Vader.
You know, there's also this rumor, and I kind of believe it, and I think it would be cool. But they were saying that it might be possible that Obi-Wan and Satine might have actually had a kid, and it's that nephew of hers, because if you put the animated version of those two next to each other,
mm-hmm.
and the kid, it looks like their son. Like, let me Oh, let me get rid of that thing.
Oh yeah, I saw the kid right there.
Like it looks like maybe it's one of those like things where she kind of hit it and is like, oh yeah, it's my nephew or whatever.
Yeah, it's possible, and of course Obi-Wan wouldn't talk about it with anybody. Probably not even Anakin,
He
even
might not
though
even know, but it's like,
he knew the Anakin.
yeah,
Hmm. Um, but yeah, I'd love to see them reference her for sure, at least because yeah, there was no acknowledgement. The one thing that I feel Clone Wars did that was great that the prequels really didn't do was like really give like humanize the clones.
yeah,
And like I said, I was talking to you earlier, and what I love about those last few episodes in Clone Wars was those final scenes with Ahsoka and how she refused to kill the clones even though they were like had turned against her.
yeah,
And you kind of contrast that to in Revenge of the Sith where like Yoda and even Obi-Wan just kind of immediately like, oh, we gotta start fighting them. But you can understand they're kind of in these situations where they're like, there's a whole capital or something that they're in. And they like have to kind of fight this
yeah.
whole, you know, army and try to get out of there. And but yeah, I think it was good to show that even though the clones were under this control, they're not robots. Like they still had feelings about it, as shown by Rex. Like they understand like that this is going on, but they can't do anything about it.
And the one thing that, like you were saying, humanizing, I think one of the cool things in Clone Wars is when Yoda talks to the clones. I think it might be the first episode of Clone Wars or one of them. How he's saying you look different in every way, or you look the same in every way,
Oh,
but different you in the Force.
yeah,
Like,
the one where they went to that planet to try and get those people on their side, but then Dooku was there trying to get them. Yeah, yeah, I would love to see more of these live action things take things that were in, especially Clone Wars, where they did stuff like that, or things from Clone Wars like Satine, and kind of just put them in there at least as a reference. Cause I think it's an important part of like Obi-Wan and who he is.
I feel like it would be. I think it has a lot of potential to happen if you have Dave Filoni also working on it, and since Deborah Chow, who's been working closely with Dave, I feel like I hope she puts it in because I feel it would be a great idea to reference another like strong powerhouse woman that like really impacted his story.
Yeah,
Because it's like the one thing that always rolled in my head is that, and the reason I love Obi-Wan so much as a character is that despite whatever happened to him, his master being killed, Maul killing the love of his life, he's always tried to do his best to walk in the light.
so just Maul killing everybody that he loves.
It's like I think she deserves to be recognized because she's such a big part of who he is.
Yeah.
So that's my feeling about that.
Damn, you're just making me feel bad now about Maul being my favorite Star Wars character because I just realized he just kills like everybody's loved ones.
Well, the other thing too about Maul is a tragic character in his own right, and I feel
Yeah.
bad as far as just him because even Obi-Wan said, "I know where you come from. I know it wasn't your choice." Like Obi-Wan was a super compassionate character to him, even when he dies, Obi-Wan like lovingly holds him because he feels
Yeah.
bad for him.
And then there's so many parallels between the two, and that's why I hope that they'll have Maul in the series because those two are like just tied together and they always have been. Like they're not a they're not a dyad in the Force, but like there's definitely some sort of connection between the two that like they're constantly just drawn to each other. Like
Well,
throughout the Clone Wars, Rebels.
well, they always say like the best villain um, is like the counterpart to the hero. And I
Mm-hmm.
think those two, especially, they're kind of cut from the same cloth, but they chose two different things. And in the same way, like you can say the same thing about Maul and Ahsoka, is that they both were abandoned kind of by their own
Yeah, yeah,
entities because Maul was left for dead and no one like really cared. Palpatine just moved on, and then with Ahsoka, the Jedi Council basically was like, "Well, we'd rather play a political game than save one of our own." So, but
yeah.
she chose the light, and he continued to choose the dark.
Yeah, and then you do have to feel bad for Maul because it wasn't his choice at first. Like obviously he was just taken, you know. But
Yeah,
I, after the point of like I'd say Phantom Menace, I mean even like during that time, and I remember reading like some old comics about him and how like angry he was all the time. Like just like in his head, he was just always just angry, whatever about his life and like how he's doing things, but he just would do things for Palpatine and kind of not really question it at first. But even then, even as he broke away from Palpatine, or I mean, he didn't really break away; he was forced away. But he still chose like basically the same thing, just for his own,
selfish
yeah,
reasons.
his own selfish reasons now. But it's all he knows, so it's kind of like, what else is he gonna do?
I mean, that's kind of the argument I think about with him too. It's like he's always been bad, and I think there's no way of really redeeming him. But like Asajj Ventress, where she started off as a good person, even
Yeah,
though she,
you even feel like even Dooku could have been redeemed because even when he engaged with Anakin or Yoda or Obi-Wan, he was always very cordial with them, and he always had respect for them. You could tell.
well, I don't know about Anakin so much
Well, yeah. Well, Anakin was kind of weak to him for most of the time. He's like, I don't really care about this kid,
because he
but
mocked him so badly,
yeah,
especially in the Clone Wars.
true. I mean, he did cut his arm off, so
Uh,
at that point, I guess he had bragging rights for quite a while. But
he's like, "Go for the arm, while I go for the head."
yeah, it's just uh, it's tough to say what they're gonna do with only 4 parts of the series, especially depending on how long it is. But I'm hoping it'll be good. I mean, I think it'll be good. It's just, will it be as good as it
Should be.
should be? Yeah,
Because it's like if you're gonna take the time and put the effort and money into doing it, you gotta do it right. And I get why they're holding back on it because they want to get it right, and it seems like they really care. But at the same time, it's like I hope they don't overdo it and they just give us a solid story.
yeah,
I hope they don't change anything about the character drastically. Like I get, because the one thing that I was thinking like he would be like Logan in a sense is that he finally has the time and to reflect on everything that's happened to him. So I
yeah.
feel like he will be a bit broken
And
because I don't see him being calm after all that.
and then there, and this is what I talk about when I say that the parallels between him um and Maul is what else has Obi-Wan really done outside of serve the Jedi for his entire life? He's
Yeah,
he was a Padawan, he was an apprentice, he was a master, he was a general. That's like all he's done, and now he's like here on this planet. And he's like trying to protect his kid, but now he's like, I don't really have like anybody to answer to. I don't have any war to fight. Like, what does he do at that point? I remember I saw somebody trying to make the point that they thought that, because you know how in A New Hope he doesn't remember R2D2 or whatever. I remember people were trying to make the point that he actually might have kind of gone crazy or something, or he just kind of like doesn't, or like he's kind of like taken some of those things from before and like taking them out of his mind or whatever because they like made him feel something like that. I wouldn't I wouldn't say that. That's it's obviously people trying to explain just like it's an old movie, but
that's kind of where I would go with it. Because, though, the other thing is I heard is like Anakin is one of the very few people that really saw droids as something special.
Yeah.
But then also the thing is that time jump and not everything is going to line up because it is made so long after.
Yeah.
And maybe it's like one of those things where, because he said that, like they were like tools, the droids were tools, like to them, and he doesn't know if that could be like R2 Anakin's droid, maybe, or maybe it's just, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those plot holes, but I feel like they don't need to address it.
Also, I think an easier explanation is that honestly, he's a Jedi, yes, but he's still old. He could just not remember. Like he was older. It's still possible that he could have some memory problems. You know.
Well, the other thing too is that you see, for whatever reason, he ages quite rapidly in that desert.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that much longer, and he's like graying and old. So,
well, I mean, it's probably a lot of stress from like the Empire and stuff, so I can understand that.
Unless the Tatooine sun is just that harsh on skin.
Maybe.
Well, because they said, I guess Tatooine, there's only about, I have to look it up to be sure, but like 300 square miles of it that is actually inhabitable by like life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that big. So you're gonna run into people.
And that's pretty much where they have like the what do they call the little water, the hydro evaporators or whatever.
Oh, the moisture evaporators.
Moisture evaporators, yes. Where Luke had to go pick up some power converters.
At Toffee Station.
That's honestly one of my favorite lines. See, that's the thing about old Star Wars that I love, are just like those kind of naturally like delivered lines. Like I think one of my favorite lines is in Empire when Luke and Han dress up as stormtroopers.
Yeah.
And they have like the doors locked and stormtroopers trying to get in, and Han's just like, everything's fine. It's fine in here. It's all good. It's like, who is this? He just shoots the fucking thing. It was just like, you could tell that was just him just like riffing, like just saying whatever. He's like, Harrison, just go, man. That's what I love. And I feel like sometimes the sequels and even the prequels, they can kind of take themselves a little bit too seriously sometimes. It's like there's the points where they try to like make funny things, like, you know, by putting some jokes in there or one-liners or like zingers, and then there's like where they kind of take themselves like really seriously. But there's a lot of stuff in the original trilogy. I think that's why people love them so much. It's just like, you can tell it's just the actors like having fun, and you know, I think that's the most important thing about Star Wars that they should do. But yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously you take the story seriously, but with any acting, like you're saying, it's kind of like some stuff is just intuitive, like the whole thing with the "I love you, I know" scene.
Mm-hmm.
Empire was just an impromptu thing. Originally was just "I love you" and "I love you too" or something, but it didn't carry the weight.
Yeah.
I don't know how they go about writing those scripts now, because I feel like they probably really precious about every line. And admittedly, like, yeah, as Star Wars fans, we can nitpick a lot, and I get it. I mean, I sometimes, but man, some of the recent dialogue's just been shaky as all hell could be. Like, this doesn't feel right.
Yeah, it's just like, I think because it's like, it's obviously Disney and stuff. They're very like, everything has to be very like tight and like, you know, it's got to be this and like this and this. But I don't know. It's just like, it's part of Star Wars. You kind of have to like just let loose and have fun with it, you know, and like see where it goes. It's like there's gonna be mistakes. Like there's always some kind of mistake in Star Wars, but at least have it be like a fun mistake, you know. Yeah, that's all I can think of. And I mean, we talked about before how like the prequels at least had the underlying essence. I will say though they took themselves very very seriously sometimes, like a little too seriously sometimes, especially with stuff like the scene with Anakin talking about sand and stuff and just things like that. But yeah, I just think that's why the original trilogy just holds so near to people's like hearts because of they were just having fun, man. So yeah, I just hope that with this Kenobi series, it'll be good overall, even if it's 4 parts. Uh, I hope there'll be something with like Darth Maul, possibly Vader, but I don't know if it's long enough for that. But it'll definitely be fun to see.
Yeah, I just hope that there's certain things that end up being we get to see, because I know like Yoda hinted at like training with Qui-Gon. I really want moments between the master and apprentice again. It would be cool for him
Mm-hmm.
just to actually see like them talking and teaching, because I always thought Phantom Menace was cool when they were talking, and I just want them to reference parts of Kenobi's life like Satine, Maul, and those bits where he addresses the tragedies that befell him.
Yeah.
Just want it to be solid, because I love Ewan McGregor and I love Obi-Wan Kenobi because he's my favorite character. So I just hope they do him justice. I believe in Deborah Chow, so I think she can pull it off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, looks like that's our time. We hope that you all enjoyed, and we're hoping we're gonna have this up on like Spotify, iTunes, wherever you can listen to podcasts. So definitely be ready for more. So
Yeah, thanks you guys for hopefully listening to the very end of this. We're just starting out, but we all appreciate every single one of you listening out there.
yes, so you can find us on all those if you want. Follow. Keep coughing. You can follow on Twitter at it's your boy Will, boy spelled with an I, and yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Well.
And you can catch me, Joey Clark. Instagram is Sinister Wookie, and then Twitter is Joey J Clark. So Sinister Wookie on Instagram, Joey J Clark. Oh, and there is a Jabbering Jawas Instagram, by the way. Yeah. Let's see, we're professionals. We got a whole 3 followers. Me, Will, and my girl. Oh, I'm not even following it. Now I'm following it. It's just Jabbering Jawas.
Yep.
On Instagram.
I should probably send that to my girlfriend too. Yeah. All right. All right.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Peace out.